Will there be a Trump reaction on the San Diego real estate market? Our next guest is here to share her expertise. Please welcome back the champ, Elizabeth Story.
There she is, the champ.
Hi.
In the house, looking fresh. How are you doing, man?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you again. So here we are. President Trump will be inaugurated in early January or late January, and everyone's who's been waiting. There's been people who are waiting to sell homes, to buy homes,
Yes.
because of the election.
Right.
This was something I don't think anyone saw coming, but yet people were still not taking action.
Yes.
So what is the effect of a Trump presidency on San Diego real estate?
Well, the good news for everyone who already owns real estate is that so does Mr. Trump. And he doesn't want to see his values go down, and so he doesn't want to see your values go down either. So I don't plan on seeing any policies or effects that drive prices down. We might have a more modest gains in the first year while people figure out what we're figuring out that he's figuring out. But I don't expect it to have a really negative impact in San Diego County. There is some speculation that rates might go up. And then that gets tricky because it affects buyers' ability to buy and what their payment is. So I put together some numbers to kind of predict what would happen if rates go up. A 1% rate increase at around $650,000 with 20% down would be about a payment difference of $250 a month. So that affects what people can buy.
If 1 full percentage
One
point
full percent.
up, which a lot of people are expecting rates to go up at some point,
Yeah.
whether it would happen under Trump presidency or not is hard to say.
Right.
But one thing that we do know, and this is my sort of personal speculation about the situation, we do know that what Trump is known for is construction. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that he's been very loud about in the past is the regulations and the process of going through permitting and all the things that have to be done that are regulations from the government to do construction that make construction costs go up significantly.
Yes.
So if some of those things, which he can directly affect his own personal pen, he can go in there and not enforce a lot of those things. If that were the case, then construction costs could go down a lot.
Right.
So that's one potential benefit I think we might see. Now, we don't have a lot of new construction here in San Diego, unfortunately. We need more new construction here. But for the new construction that is going on or that is going to happen in the next 5-10 years, if the costs go down, then maybe that could get passed on to the consumer potentially and
Right.
lower prices for new stuff.
Well, and that doesn't just affect like new construction per se, like a whole new master plan community. It also affects all this infill. You know, we talked about infill during the last time on the show for people who are not quite sure what that is. It's, you know, there's a house that's in a great location, but it's 100 years old and it's falling down and needs updating. You bulldoze it and you start again. That's going to be really, really super popular in the next decade or more in San Diego County because the location, you can't change it, you won't change it, it's beautiful. But as we run out of properties and new construction or people want to continue revitalizing all these neighborhoods around the county, then infill developments get much bigger, remodels too, renovations too. And as somebody who works specifically in that space, it is cumbersome. And it is expensive, and it is time-consuming to deal with all of the government regulations. Like, for example, I had this one client who he just wanted to put a hole in his backyard, and $20,000 later, he's like, I just couldn't do it anymore because I couldn't finish the project that I wanted to do in my own house that I already own on my own soil because the fees are just so cumbersome. So it would be nice to see a little bit of easing on some of the overlays and regulations that we have.
Yeah, it seems like that's a place where there's a lot of waste.
Yes.
And that cost gets passed down to the eventual home buyer.
Right.
I mean, just there's no way around that.
Right.
So to think that, oh, well, the rich construction companies are paying that bill, no, they're not. I mean,
They're
they're
not.
paying, they're fronting the bill, but they're passing it right along to you. So I think that's one place where if we're going to see the Trump effect, if you will, in housing, whether we see it much in San Diego or not, I think it would probably be in that realm.
Right.
But there are also people who I think are going to be now even more cautious, do you think? Maybe people who are not so pro-Trump. They think he's going to bring the end of the world to, you know, the United States of America. Do you think those people will now be even more hesitant to make a move?
I think it depends on whether you're selling or buying. If you're selling and you're worried about Trump, then you're going to want to pull the cord, right? But if you're buying and you're worried about Trump, you're not really sure where to go. And that's why I think this first year and this first 6 months of his presidency, it's really going to be hard to predict, like what people are going to do, what buyers are going to do, and how they're going to react to his presidency. And I think we're going to start finding out really quickly, because there's already a lot of articles going around about, who he's slating for his cabinet and some of the policies that he wants to put in place. So come January, it's going to be really interesting to see what buyers who have been sitting on the fence are going to do. But again, if there is news that rates are going to go up, then obviously you're going to want to pull the trigger before they do, because it's going to affect your ability to purchase.
Yep, and same thing on the sell side too, with potential buyers, especially in higher price ranges.
Exactly.
Where those interest rates really make a big difference. Have you got any of the Canada calls yet? Any of the fleers? Have they been calling?
I got to tell you, I kind of pride myself on not being a super cheesy car chasing agent, and it's really worked well for me, thank God. And the morning after, I must have seen 20 different agents with the cheesy, I'll sell your house if you want to move to Canada. I'm not that girl. But if you do want to, I will. But no, I haven't had anyone call me saying that
No Canada calls?
But I actually had one friend who moved out of the country. Not even kidding you.
Already happened?
Yeah, no, he's gone.
Wow.
He's wealthy. I'm going to stay here.
You're going to stick it out?
Fight the good fight.
I'm going to stick it out. San Diego, I think, is still just fine, no matter who's the president. You can't there's things, macro issues here in San Diego that you just can't change. Yeah. That's why I think if he is able to help reduce the regulations and the sort of the barriers to construction, we could see a lot more of the inventory that we really need come to San Diego, because, we desperately need it.
And I want to go back to what you said about how a lot of people think, oh, it's these big contractors who are paying the bill for all of these fees. It's not. They're the ones that are bringing the finished product to you. And whatever they can build the finished product for is whatever they're bringing it to you. So the direct impact is always going to be on the consumer when it's expensive to build. And so either builders don't build because they can't afford it and they can't turn a good profit, or they have to sell it to you higher. Neither one of those are really good options for the consumer. So it definitely affects everyone in the county when we talk about how difficult it is to build and how much regulations there are involved.
Yeah, I don't know if there's one single other thing that could be more impactful to helping make housing more affordable in San Diego, because demand is already through the roof.
Right.
Supply is already minuscule.
Right.
What else could be done possibly to help? Rates are already as low as they could possibly be. I just don't see San Diego housing getting cheaper unless there were some big sweeping overhaul in the regulations. And I'm not saying he is going to do it or that it's even possible to be done.
Right.
But if there were one thing that I could see a President Trump doing, because he's a construction guy and he's been very loud and complaining about these fees and the costs to construct, and is to do something about that. So I think it would be a good thing. And who knows? We'll just have to wait and see, I suppose.
And that will be a micromarket discussion, which I've talked about that term a lot on here before too. For example, going back to the micromarkets in Carlsbad.
The mini suburbs?
The teeny tiny suburbs.
Those little houses that are out there.
So somewhere where there's going to be a huge build out, a huge master plan community, that's going to actually bring some of the values down or flat in the directly surrounding community. Now, areas where it's an already built out community that's aging and is going to get a zhizhing up, those values will go up. So you have to understand if people are making an existing community better, the values go up. But when there's more competition with an existing community and new construction, then these values shake for about a year.
Huh. So interesting. So how could you take advantage of something like that?
Well, you got to know where you're going. So are you trying to buy in an older neighborhood, or are you trying to buy in a newer neighborhood? So if you're in an older neighborhood and it gets easier to develop, then you're going to be in a win. And you're going to want to either buy a fixer in an older neighborhood, or if you're wanting to buy new construction, then you're going to want to buy in the new construction. If you're a seller who knows new construction is coming near you, you sell before it gets built, because it will be competition, I guarantee you. And if you're a seller who's in an older neighborhood and you find out that restrictions are lifted and you have a fixer, then that might be a good marketing piece for you or your agent to make sure that's in all of your marketing that, hey, it's going to be easier to redevelop here.
So either way, it sounds like there's a way to take advantage. You just have to know which direction you're going with.
Exactly.
Great stuff. Well, only time will tell what the true Trump effect will be, but that's great wisdom. Thank you so much for coming, Elizabeth. Great to see you again. The champ, Elizabeth Story. Stick around for more Smarter San Diego TV, where we guarantee to make you smarter than everyone else. Commercial free.